Yes.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Sure.
You all right?
Good. Good. Well, we're going to brief you all up on a bunch of stuff that we had. We had a very active night that I'll go into, but I want to open up by letting you all know about an inmate death that we just had this morning. This inmate death is being investigated as a homicide by the Texas Rangers. But what this stems from is that on February 7th of this year, earlier this month, a 38-year-old female inmate classified as a stable mental inmate assaulted a 59-year-old female inmate, also classified as a stable mental. They were housed together, and they were both there in our jail, unfortunately, for low-level misdemeanors, both of them. It's a story that we've heard time and time again, homeless individuals finding their way into the Bexar County Jail on mental health, with mental health issues and on relatively low misdemeanors. At any rate, there was an altercation between these two inmates that, for whatever reason, one of them appeared to be going through some sort of a mental health episode and attacked the other inmate. That inmate, the 59-year-old female, sustained head injuries, and she was hospitalized at that time. And initially, she showed some signs of improvement. They put her on some sort of medications that we were hopeful that her physical condition would improve, but unfortunately this morning she succumbed to those injuries, being that there was just too much for her body to take. And so at present, I can't give too much information on the criminal investigation itself, other than to say the female suspect has been booked, or was at the time of the assault, was booked for aggravated assault, serious bodily injury. Now that charge, I would expect, is going to be upgraded, but again, that will be up to the Texas Rangers who are handling that case. As you all know, under the Sandra Bland Act, we have to have a second agency come in and handle any custodial deaths. In this instance, that secondary agency is the Texas Rangers, and so they'll be able to answer more questions as far as specifics on the criminal case itself. Any questions on that?
Those head injuries she sustained, were the jailers right there that saw the incident?
Well, initially the jailer was making their rounds, and the female suspect actually approached the door and outcried that something had happened. And so the deputy then looked into the cell, saw that the victim was laying there in a pool of blood. The deputy pulled the suspect out, and they began life-saving measures on the victim. And so my understanding is that her demeanor, her affect was very calm when she notified the deputy that this had occurred.
And the suspect is facing additional charges now?
The suspect is facing additional. Well, right now she's currently been magistrated. At the time of the assault, we magistrated her for aggravated assault, serious bodily injury. Now I would suspect that the Rangers are going to upgrade that charge to a murder charge now. But again, I can't speak for them definitively because it's their case.
Could you sort of describe where in the jail they were housed? They were in the cell, just the two of them. In what part of the jail? Sure,
I'll have to get you more specifics. But let me tell you this about our mental health areas of the jail. A jail like ours is built with a mental health area that is built differently than the rest of the jail for mentally ill inmates. Unfortunately, because of our jail population and because of the fact that there's such a large mentally ill population, we've actually got mentally ill inmates housed in other parts of the jail that we've had to kind of retrofit some other areas to serve as mental health areas. But unfortunately, our mentally ill jail population is high. Again, even more so with folks that are there for relatively low-level misdemeanors, just like these two young ladies were as well.
And these folks were not in a mental health unit?
They were in a unit for mentally ill inmates, but I don't know that they were in the mental health area. They're built. It was an area that was kind of retrofitted to accommodate them. And again, they were considered stable mentals. At this point, we don't suspect any sort of wrongdoing on the part of any deputies. The time checks were good. They were within jail standards. Unfortunately, this is an incident where this young lady was going through some sort of a psychosis, and then it manifested itself in her assaulting this other inmate.
And do you know what those low-level misdemeanors they were?
I believe the victim was there for criminal trespass, and the suspect was there for failure to identify. So both nonviolent charges. And again, unfortunately, this is a symptom that we're seeing across the jail system, is that I'll say it again, we have to find a better way of dealing with mental illness rather than just continuing to warehouse people. At the jail, we're not in control of who is there or how long they stay. That's up to other parts of the system, but I will tell you definitively, in my opinion, we've got to find a better way of dealing with folks that are homeless and dealing with mental health issues.
And they were the only two women in the cell?
They were the only two in that cell, yes, ma'am. Okay. If I can, let me go ahead and move on. As I mentioned before, it was a very active night last night, and we had several incidents that were obviously a bit different than what we're used to encountering. So let me start out with this one. Last night, initially, we were called out to the 2000 block of State Highway 211 and Lambda Drive for a report of a motor vehicle versus pedestrian crash. It appears that a male pedestrian, identified as a 61-year-old male, was walking across a dark roadway, and it appears that two drivers didn't see him. The first driver, it appears, clipped him with the mirror, the side mirror, knocking him down, and then the second driver, we're told, didn't have time to react and actually ran over the man as he was laying on the roadway. Those two drivers stuck around and were able to give their information. At this point, we don't suspect any criminal wrongdoing on their part. But as the 61-year-old male was laying deceased on the street, our deputies were out conducting the investigation. Obviously, they had him covered up, and we had an active crime scene cordoned off. But as they were handling that crime scene, the black Chrysler 300 was found nearby. That vehicle belonged to the victim himself. But while they were handling that case, a driver that was later found to be intoxicated actually went around barricades and into the crime scene, believe it or not, running over the dead body that was, as we were in the course of our investigation, and almost hitting two of our investigators that were in the roadway taking measurements and handling the case itself. That suspect was found to be, as a female suspect, believed to be in possession of a drug called khat. Khat is a plant that's native to Africa. And it's, that drug actually gained prominence after the movie Black Hawk Down, which during the course of that movie, you'll see where the suspect, or the terrorists that were attacking the U.S. troops were under the influence of this drug called khat, K-H-A-T. It's an herb, a plant, if you will, that they chew on, and it actually is a stimulant. So it gives them a sense of bravado, and it's my understanding is that also they feel it deadens their sense of their pain tolerance. It ups their pain tolerance, in other words. So it really does have some extremely measurable effects on the human body. My understanding now, I don't know if that's what she was actually under the influence of. Our intoxilizer test will hopefully tell us more, but I can tell you that she was in possession of what we believe to be that substance as well. So at present, that suspect is being booked into the Bexar County Jail for DWI, abuse of a corpse, and possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 2, 1 to 4 grams. And so we'll certainly give you all more information on that. And as soon as we're able, we'll provide you the identity of that both the victim in the case and the suspect in the case as well. Any questions on that case?
No investigators were hurt?
No, thankfully our investigators were not hurt. But again, it's unfortunate that this poor victim, who'd already been through a lot, obviously, his body was run over as a result of this lady's just level of intoxication and her unawareness of where she was at that time. So,
Have you ever heard of that happening?
I never have. I mean, I've been doing this job 33 years now, and never heard of somebody barreling through a crime scene like that and running over a dead body that's already in the roadway. So thankfully, no other people were injured, and certainly we've placed these charges on this young lady, and hopefully we'll know more as this investigation continues to progress. Yes, sir.
Do you know yet what the victim was doing walking, being in their vehicle that was nearby?
So we believe that the victim himself may have also been intoxicated. There's some indicators there. Now, I don't know if his vehicle became disabled for some reason. As I mentioned, it's a black car that was found nearby was found to be registered to him. So I don't know if his car became disabled, ran out of gas, whatever it may be. But at a certain point, he was described as kind of sitting on the road, on the curb, near where the crash happened itself. So hopefully we'll gain more information on that as well as we talk to the family.
Do we know if that area of 211 is well lit or not lit?
I don't have much information on the lighting out there, but I mean, I've been out in that area, and it's an area that's very much still under development, but it's also kind of a big roadway. So I don't know what the lighting situation looked like at that point.
Did you say her age?
I did. I don't have that. We'll get it to you here shortly as soon as we're able to. So also yesterday, we had at about 8:30 yesterday morning, we received a call for a theft report at a home that was under construction in the 10,000 block of Monte Carmel Place. My understanding is that's on the east side of the county. Thankfully, the owner of that residence that's under construction had some security cameras placed, and he was able to give us pretty good information on a suspect vehicle. We ran down that suspect vehicle, and we found it to be located at the 4200 block of San Fernando Street on the west side of the city of San Antonio. Our investigators went to that location. Oh, let me back up a bit. What was stolen from the home under construction was some construction materials, OSB planks. So it's basically like plywood that's used for a roofing application, usually with foil on one side. So it's a bit more expensive than just a sheet of plywood. Quite a large amount was stolen from the residence initially. My understanding is it was about $3,000 worth of equipment that was of materials that were stolen from the initial theft that was reported. When we went to the residence in the 4200 block of San Fernando Street, we were able to see not just the property that was stolen from that other residence, but a large amount of construction materials of a similar quality. So we were able to get a search warrant. We were able to make several arrests at the house. Let me give you the names of the suspects, and of course we'll send these to you. And I believe we have video of these guys actually being walked, if I'm not mistaken. So first suspect in this case, Joaquin Sanchez Rodriguez, 28 years of age, date of birth 12/9/97, and Nicandro Sanchez Rodriguez, 35 years of age, date of birth 9/29 of 1990. They're both facing felony 3 theft charges. So what we found at the home was not just the materials that were stolen, but a huge amount of similar materials. So much so that I believe we brought out 2 18-wheelers, flatbed 18-wheelers, and we filled those with the stolen property that was taken. All said and done, we're estimating there's about $80,000 worth of materials that we recovered from these folks. My understanding is that these guys were in the business of doing that. They would go to homes under construction, steal materials, and then resell these materials at a cheaper price to other home builders. So at this point, we're continuing to develop information. If we are able to develop information on folks that may have been buying or folks that may have been helping them out with these thefts, certainly I'm fully expecting other people to be arrested in connection with this case. But again, I use this as a reminder to the community. If you are a home builder or if you are having a home built, it's extremely important that you safeguard your materials. Have a way of locking those materials up. If you're having materials delivered, make sure that you're waiting until the very last minute. So in other words, don't have a bunch of appliances or a bunch of building materials sitting in the yard or sitting in the garage. See if you can get those things delivered as close to them actually being installed on the home as possible. Obviously, none of this is completely foolproof. If thieves want to get your stuff, they're going to find a way to get your stuff. Unfortunately, criminals are very resourceful. But in this instance, what really helped us break this case wide open is the fact that that homeowner thought ahead and put up a security camera that was able to give us pretty good quality video and photos that helped us ultimately not just solve his case, but other cases as well. It helped us to break up a theft ring, in fact. Any questions on that case?
Did you or other law enforcement agencies receive reports around the county of home builders reporting their stuff being stolen?
It's a constant thing for us on a daily basis. You know, right now we're also seeing a high frequency theft item is electrical breakers. So if you, for example, when your house trips a breaker and you go out to the garage and you've got the fuse box with switches, those things are being stolen. That's a high theft item, high volume theft item. And right now we're investigating rings of that. But again, it's certainly not outside the ordinary for us to get a call that somebody's appliances have been stolen, when brand new appliances have been stolen, or fixtures, toilets, lighting fixtures, whatever it may be. Again, that's why you don't want to have those things sitting in your construction site. You want to get them delivered and then installed almost immediately. That's not necessarily 100% foolproof, but it's my best advice for avoiding these sorts of things. Okay, go ahead.
Well, yeah, what was the array of equipment that you guys, or materials that you guys seized? Like, was that appliances, breakers, all the above?
Well, with these guys, they didn't have any breakers. What these guys had was mostly the OSB, but they did have some other smaller items. I'd have to get you specifics on it, but they did have some tools. So again, these guys, if they go to a job site and there's, like these guys were looking for OSB panels, but if there's a drill laying around or a Sawzall laying around, they're going to steal that too, because as you know, criminals are opportunistic. And if the situation presents itself and they're able to steal something that's not nailed down, literally, they're going to do so. And then last case I'll brief y'all up on is a scam. Another Bitcoin scam, which, as y'all know, or y'all may know, I briefed y'all up on it about a week ago. We've been seeing incidences of what we call a jury duty scam, where people are calling, claiming to be with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, and then keeping the victims on the phone for several hours, having them go to Bitcoin machines at retail establishments, and then depositing to pay their fine, but in reality they're purchasing Bitcoin. We had an instance last night. This one was not the jury duty scam. It was another similar type scam that we're seeing an uptick in as well. So this one was actually, the victims in this case live in Comal County. Their son is actually a recent inmate of the Bexar County Jail. And the reason that we're seeing this one go up more is because when you get booked into the Bexar County Jail, the fact that you're in jail becomes public information. We've got the Bexar County Sheriff's app. In fact, you can go on that app and you can search inmate information on there and you can look for the names of inmates. Again, it's public information. What we're able to gather in these cases is that these scammers are finding public information about inmates that have been recently booked in. They're most likely using what we call open source information. So they're Googling somebody, finding out where they live, finding out where the parents are. They're calling the family members, posing as members of the Bexar County Sheriff's Office or employees of a bond company, and offering to help you get your loved one out of jail or put them on an ankle monitor. We've heard several different variations of this. And then again, they follow the same MO as the jury duty scam. They'll keep you on the phone for several hours. They'll have you go from retail establishment to retail establishment using the Bitcoin machines. In this instance, they took this elderly couple, they called them about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, kept them on the phone for about 8 hours, had them drive from Comal County into San Antonio to several retail establishments, and took them for $25,000, all said and done. And again, in hopes of getting their son out of jail. These folks were in good faith, thinking that they were really dealing with people from the sheriff's office, bail bond office, and they got taken for $25,000. And they, obviously they let us know as soon as they realized that something was amiss. They called us, and we were able to start the investigation. Now, our hope is that we can hopefully help these folks get their money back. Our chances of identifying the scammers that were doing this are, I'll be honest, are slim to none. But we're going to do our very best. We've got a unit that's hopefully, unfortunately, getting better at this, at having to uncover these things. As a coincidence, as you all may know, I had recently sent a letter to City Council in hopes of getting a city ordinance passed that would mandate that any retail establishment within the city that has a machine like this put a big warning sign on it, letting people know that they may be scammed. Again, if they come in on the phone and they go to use this machine, hopefully this prominent sign will be able to tell them, if you're on the phone with who you think is law enforcement, don't use this machine, don't deposit any money, and hang up on whoever you're talking to immediately. Yesterday, we actually had our first meeting with a city council member regarding these scams, Terry Castillo. from District 5 actually reached out to us and seems to be showing some interest in spearheading this effort. I've also had a telephone conversation with Councilwoman Misty Spears, who also seems to be interested. So I'll be meeting with the city council people periodically over the next couple of weeks in hopes of getting this city ordinance. The reason that we felt the need to reach out to the city, obviously my preference would be to do something countywide. But county government's different than city government in that we are a subdivision of the state. County government's a subdivision of the state. Our ability to create an ordinance countywide is very difficult. And so we tried that, and we were advised by the DA's office that we just don't have the authority to do that. But having just recently gone to a sheriff's conference, I found that in the city of Omaha, Douglas County, Nebraska, the sheriff there gave me the information that they had some success in reducing these scams by getting the city of Omaha to pass an ordinance just like this. So basically cut and pasted everything that they had, and that's what we're working on with the city now. Hopefully, you'll be seeing these signs very soon in the city of San Antonio, which again, hopefully, like the city of Omaha had, maybe we'll have some success in reducing these sorts of crimes. You know, this one was for $25,000. In the last month, we've had 2 additional cases of, those were the jury duty scams on both of those. One of those was for $25,000 and the other one was for $22,000. That people, just good, innocent, hardworking people, got scammed out of money because these scammers are very good at what they do. So any questions on that?
The victims, the parents, do you know their ages, like elder, senior?
Yes, they're both in their 70s. Yeah, both in their 70s. And of course, obviously, their adult son is an inmate in the Bexar County Jail. I don't have much information on what he's there for. But again, these are just good people that want to get their son out, and they thought they were doing the best that they could do as parents, and unfortunately, these scammers took advantage. Let me also use this as an opportunity to remind you that whether you miss jury duty or your loved one is an inmate in the Bexar County Jail or whatever the case may be, we're never, ever going to call you and ask you for money by phone. We're never going to call you and tell you you have a warrant for anything or that your loved one has a warrant for anything. Think about that. If you ever have a warrant, law enforcement's going to show up and arrest you. They're not going to call you and tell you that you have a warrant. So I want to use this as an opportunity to remind you, we're never going to call you to initiate these sorts of things, and we're never going to ask you for money or credit card information. We're never going to ask you to go to a Bitcoin machine and use your credit card to pay a fine. It's just these are things that do not happen. And so I can't stress that enough to the community that if you get a call like this, hang up on them. These scammers are very good also at using technology. They will spoof numbers. They will make it look like on your caller ID, it will actually say Bexar County Sheriff's Office, and it will have our non-emergency number show up on there sometimes, 335-6000. So people will think it's legit because their caller ID says so. But again, these guys are very good at using spoof numbers and technology to their advantage. Any other questions? Okay. I think that's all we got, guys, and if there's new developments on any of these cases, we'll update you. Thanks. Oh, the DWI? Okay, I can give you all this information on this female suspect on the DWI case. Last name is Spears, S-P-E-A-R-S. First name Tionne, T-I-O-N-N-E, 2/12/2000. She's 26 years of age. Thanks, guys.